Hello and welcome to another episode of the Intelligent Document Processing Podcast. This is Oliver from Parashift, and today I can welcome Alexander Saunders from TONI Digital. He's the CTO of TONI Digital, and I hope you will tell us a lot about insurances and the business that you're doing there. A warm welcome to you. Alex, tell us, who are you?
Well, first of all, thanks very much for having me on this podcast. I am, as you mentioned, CTO at TONI Digital. From background, I studied engineering, economics and management. I am fascinated, let's say, by technology and to apply that in a business context. And that's probably also what brought me to insurance. So early on, especially when I studied engineering, I always despised insurance because I thought there's not much meaning in that for society. I now realize there actually is. And in addition, I realized there's a lot you can change by applying technology. So that's, let's say, what drives me. Before TONI Digital, I was doing research also at ETH in the semiconductor space. I had another startup in the computer vision / real estate space. So I really like also the entrepreneurial side of things. So I think that's probably a good summary of myself as a person. And yeah.
Yeah, so TONI Digital, I have my fair share of experience with insurances. I mean, on the one hand, as a consumer, of course, as everybody does, and then I was working with AXA, or still working with AXA quite a lot, and started to see a bit more behind the scenes, and there's like different things I realized. The one thing is, it's like still most insurance companies are dinosaurs, also from a technological point of view. Most insurances are money machines. There's actually, a lot of money to make if you know the business. And the third thing is, a lot of these things is about sales, like old school sales. And now you started the digitalization of the insurance business with TONI Digital. Tell us what are you doing?
Yeah, sure. So I think your summary of the insurance industry was probably pretty spot on. So you are totally right. There is quite a lot of money in the space. I'm not saying that. Sure, there are also quite some profits to be made if you do it the correct way. But it's certainly by revenue, by premiums. It is a very large industry. And as you said, from technological point of view, it is, especially the large players are, let's say, do quite often have a lot of old systems in place that really hinder them at being, let's say, driving forces at innovation. Now, what the story and the idea behind TONI Digital is that, of course, on the one hand, we saw, like insurance is one of the last industries that is not yet disrupted by tech, right? So we clearly saw that. At the same time, we didn't just want to be a software company because, you can imagine also in insurance, you do have quite a lot of software providers out there now. Some are better than others, but none of them is really attacking or disrupting the insurance industry as a whole, because they are only doing the tech part. What we at TONI Digital are doing is we call ourselves an insurance as a service provider. And what that means is we enable any corporation to quickly enter the insurance market. So we deliver the tech, but we also deliver the risk carrier, everything end to end. So that means if you are a company and you want to start selling insurances next month, you can do that with us. Versus if you are a company and you first have to, get a tech system for insurance tech system, then you need to apply for the license. That's another 2 years down the line. You need to build up a big team, right? So that's our business. And the idea behind that was really that This is probably the best angle at how we can tackle the insurance industry. And the business setup is really that we have our tech platform that is sort of orchestrating the entire insurance value chain, where we do everything from product configuration over to claims management, over to reporting and risk carrier management. And we then have at the bottom, so to speak, we have, or below our platform, we attach external risk carriers. So we do work with some of the existing players out here in Switzerland, and they basically provide us their insurance license. The reason why we don't have our own insurance license is literally for efficiency reasons, because if we had our own insurance license, there's a lot of formal processes, a lot of compliance you need to fulfill, and in particular you need a lot of equity. And the bigger your portfolio, the more equity you need. So and there is a lot of capacity out there, right?
All right.
And then towards the front we have external companies, such as today we work with Post Finance, we have Migros as a distribution partner, we even have ÖKK as a health insurer. We have now in September we will go live with 2 more big partners. And really for them, the idea is these are large. So insurance, right? If you buy an insurance, it's basically a trust business. You put down the money today, and for the potential event that sometime in the future they need to pay the claim for you. So trust is really important, and marketing and having a brand. Someone like Post Finance and Migros, they are probably amongst the best brands you can have in Switzerland, also in terms of trust, and they have a large client base. So that means by us collaborating with these guys, we save on marketing, and they can actually economize their existing brand and client base and make money. So that's, let's say, the overall business setup, and that's how we, let's say, try to conquer the market and serve really great digital experiences to the end client.
I'm not sure if I fully understood the model. That doesn't mean I could come to you and ask for, okay, let's build a Parashift insurance, for example.
Yeah, you could.
And then you would organize everything. So I understood that. Then this product would not be distributed by the other partners.
Exactly. This would just be distributed by me,
by
Parashift.
Okay.
Exactly.
Is there any product that's then, or any insurance product that's then distributed by Post Finance, for example, or because you were saying partners, or?
So yes. So for example, Post Finance, they have the Post Finance insurance, and at this point in time, they are live with 4 insurance products. There's the Post Finance car insurance, motorbike insurance, travel insurance, and legal protection insurance. And these products are basically, if you go on the Post Finance website, then you can buy those, and Post Finance actively approaches their existing clients and informs them, hey, we now do Post Finance insurance. And then everything related to that insurance appears in the Post Finance design and logo. So the website, all the documents from policy document to invoicing, even when you call the call center, they would pick up with Post Finance insurance.
Okay, so but these are your clients basically. These are not like distribution partners for other insurances of your other clients.
Correct. So let's say what is really important is Post Finance, they can actively together with us decide, okay, this is what the product looks like, and this is for our client base. Hey, we want to focus on this age group, etc. For us, it's really important that we do the product like that. And of course, because we don't have our own insurance license, we need to, let's say, get the approval by the external risk carrier. But this is what we take care of. Exactly.
So okay, that's like there's a similar thing which I'm very familiar is the mobile virtual network provider in the telco industry. So that's basically like a virtual brand that is using is using the infrastructure of another bigger network to establish their own brand and do the marketing. So everything. That's how like Aldi in Germany got their own mobile, or even in Switzerland, the Migros as well has their own telco sub brand. Okay, so
we would basically be the telco as a service provider, just for insurance. And the idea is really that a company like Post Finance, Migros, ÖKK, they need to have a team of maybe 2 people, not more, and we organize everything end to end, right? And if a client approaches us, then they will be in a very short time frame ready to actually sell the insurance. So that's really important.
Awesome. So talking about very short time frame. What is a very short time frame in the insurance industry?
Depends on the perspective, but I mean, to give you an example, so if you talk to one of the classical players, then if they do some collaboration with a car dealership, it often takes 18 to 24 months to get started, and we brought that down to 4 to 6 weeks. So from the point in time, let's say once the product is defined, once business is okay, that's the product. Please go ahead, and now we want to have the APIs and the ready platform all configured on the platform. That takes us roughly 4 to 6 weeks, including all the processes, claims, and
crazy.
And
so you're not only having the platform and sort of the setup, you also bring a lot of the best practices to the clients because they obviously don't know a lot about insurance.
Correct, exactly. So of course, let's say at the core of our business, of course, is our tech platform, but that's not the only thing. So let's say also amongst our founders, we have a lot of experience from the insurance and reinsurance industry and in terms of ad carrier management. And that obviously is really important when you want to start selling insurances. So that's, let's say, the other part of the coin, right? And we bring all of that together. We manage the entire insurance value chain. And of course, all through our tech platform, all digitized, etc. But that is really important that we don't only do the tech. But let's say, I mean, at the end of the day, even, users of an insurance tech platform, they want to sell insurance. And one of the big advantages of our tech platform is really that, hey, it's all already there integrated, and you don't need to spend a year's time to get it up and running, including document management, etc. It's really, let's say, we have productized insurance. And the other thing that is really important and that, let's say, distinguishes us from a lot of the other or incumbents is that we have all our insurance products are configurable. So quite often, if, let's say, a car dealership, BMW, etc., goes to one of the large ones, then it will be, okay, that's our car insurance product, and you can sell it, you get a nice margin, etc. But it's going to be this one product. What we do is, because we have a state-of-the-art technology platform, we have made things configurable. So that means any insurance product you can think of, if you wanted to insure this microphone, you could configure that insurance product on our platform. We then have a lot of proprietary technology when it comes to, let's say, we have like no-code solutions in place for setting up the pricing engine. Pricing is always a pain in insurance. We have built a solution where an actuary or like a business person can go in there, can configure the product, can set up the pricing himself, can define as many lookup tables as he wants. He just uploads it to our platform and the pricing is live. So that's really important.
Awesome. So how successful are your customers? I understand that's like a super easy and quick way to gain more revenues if you already have as you said, an established brand and like thousands and hundreds of thousands of clients. Then I think that's a no-brainer. Yeah, you can just add a new line of business and leverage the existing customer base. So. That probably should be doing every bigger company. How are you doing business development and how is the reception of such a product or such a concept?
Yep. I think on the end client side, I mean, Post Finance was our first distribution partner. And with them, the first product was also car insurance, which is, let's say, really a complex, sophisticated insurance product. And I think there the reception on in the public was really positive. We also did before we launched, we did various market research studies. Hey, how do you perceive if now a bank suddenly sells insurance? And that was really positive. And let's say it's not surprising because if you look at other countries like at France, for example, you have, let's say this bank assurance is a lot more predominant. Some of those banks now make up to 30% of their revenue with insurance. Right? That gives you an idea. And no, I think on the end client side, it's really received very positively. And really what is, the idea is also not just that they send you an email and saying, hey, you are a client of us, you should also buy this product from us. The idea is also that, for example, now we work with another bank that I can't name, but they, for example, they have actively integrated us in their mortgage process. So now if you buy a house and then you have the consultation with them, they would say, okay, this is the mortgage product. And hey, now based on this data, actually this would be the price for the insurance. Are you not also interested in that?
Yeah.
And that's not a cheeky way of selling insurance. It's just that, let's say insurance, the end consumer doesn't really care too much about insurance, right? What you are driven by is you just want to be insured. You want to have the security. Yeah. And if it is given to you at the point of sales, then great, because it makes it more efficient and more relevant for you.
Yeah, you don't have to take care later.
Exactly. And so with this bank, for example, I think the conversion rate was even above 50%.
Okay.
So that gives you an idea of really this embedded insurance, how successful that can be, and it's really a win-win, because also for the end customer it's convenience. He's insured and he gets, let's say, the entire service out of one hand. Then that's great.
Awesome. Yeah, I think I find it very, very interesting. Really, it's amazing. What I wonder though is, selling insurance is one part, or creating the digital product and integrating it. The other thing is inevitably there are claims that need to be managed. How are you doing this? Are you sort of providing that as well? So as a shared
So
service?
what is, let's say the entire, so I already told you our business idea is really that we manage the entire insurance value chain end to end, but that doesn't mean that we do everything ourselves. So of course, let's say, especially because we are offering so many different insurance lines. Early on I just mentioned the ones that we do for post-finance. We also have household insurance, liability insurance, now a mortgage, income protection. There will shortly be also building protection. So it would be infeasible to offer claims for all of those insurance lines, especially once we offer those in multiple countries. So of course we do work with a lot of third-party administrators. We do have, for example, for claims, let's say the tech solution is provided by us. So the customer, if you go to the client cockpit, you can register the claim. There is some claims automation that is provided by our tech platform, but we then do the steering. We, for example, give complex claims cases to certain specialists in the claims industry, and then they will handle the claim. They will analyze the car if there's bodily injury, etc. So that's a really important part of our business line, and of course also call center. We don't do that ourselves. We have external partners.
Okay, so that allows, basically this is what allows you to do everything in terms of insurances. Otherwise it would be super tricky to guarantee.
Yeah. Okay. Exactly. It's important that we stay in charge, that we are really the one orchestrating and facilitated by our tech platform. But so that's really important, but at the same time it's important that we do use external parties, because it's not our focus, not our core competency.
One thing is that I also learned is that, like, I don't know if one of my conclusions is that insurance need to come closer to the damage or to the injured object, in order to also guarantee things like a liquid insurance or a fluid insurance. So that's like this, you said, like we can insure the microphone, and there's certain players actually offering that, and frankly I don't know how well that works. I remember that one of my co-founders injured his camera for just like 2.5 weeks. When he went on vacation. And another more on the prominent side of things, or example more of the prominent side of things is Tesla with the insurance in America. So that's actually calculating the risk factor based from the driving behavior of the client, and then does some adjustments on the insurance premium. But I think that there's a lot of it's a never-ending game you can optimize. At some points, the more data you have, the better you can calculate the risk profile, the better you can actually adjust the amount of premium that needs to be paid. So what are your thoughts on that development, and are you offering sort of things?
So I think there are 2 points that you mentioned. So let me first tackle the first point regarding this camera insurance for 2 weeks. What you see is, I mean, of course, insurance is, let's say, quite an attractive industry, and that's also one of the reasons why we chose that as an industry that we want to disrupt. At the same time, I mean, you do see a lot of startups that say, oh yeah, insurance is attractive. Let me start, and oh yeah, I will start with this camera insurance, and let me try something different. And they then end up with a product that is really niche, right?
Yeah, it's just a very isolated use case.
Really isolated. They only do often camera insurance. They maybe might do other really simple insurance, like insure your TV, whatnot. It then becomes really difficult to communicate that to the end client. Also because most of the time they would sell it under their own brand, they need to do marketing, etc. And I mean, they often do that because it's easy, right? Insurance, like selling car insurance, there were really a lot of entry barriers. Like first, we needed to convince a risk carrier to work with us, and that wasn't easy, despite, let's say, us having some really senior people from the insurance industry inside our company. But really for us, it was important that we tackle the mainstream insurance products, that we don't just do this niche, like 1% of insurance market. We really want to tackle the big insurance products. And I think that's also how you succeed. And then me personally, I'm not a big believer in these on-off insurances. I think they are just way too complex. And you see similar things. Let's say, moving over to the example of Tesla, there were a lot of insurances that offered you, here's a dongle, please install it in your car, and then we know your driving behavior, and hey, you get a 10% discount. Thing is, it's true, you collect a lot of valuable data, but it was just too complex for the end client. So a lot of insurance companies that started or tested that stopped doing that, right? Now, what you said about Tesla is, I think they managed to solve that issue because you don't have the client that needs to install the dongle. Tesla, they already get all the data automatically, and you probably as a client you can't even let's say reject, right? It's not introduced in Europe, so I don't know how exactly it behaves, but don't worry, your data is being sent.
Oh yes, I'm sure. Of course, that I'm sure as well.
You just have received the insurance offer.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, I mean, what I'm saying is, I think that's a great example of really fully embedded insurance, right? One thing that I didn't mention earlier on is that, of course, the insurance product that we configure on our tech platform, they are all available via API. So the distribution partner could take them, integrate them into their own platform, etc. via API. And similar thing we could do with the car dealerships or like OEMs. And I think it's, for a car company, it's a fantastic opportunity. Car insurance is probably the biggest insurance product by premium. It's the one that everyone must have. And the car OEMs, also BMW and Mercedes, they all have, let's say, the telecommunication system in the car by now to get all the driving data. Yeah. So let's say the ingredient is there to outcompete all of the existing insurance companies. And that's, we would love, let's say, to work with one of those OEMs to configure the insurance product on our platform. We take care of everything. And all they would have to do is send us that driving data. And of course, you then need to do a lot of risk analysis. How do you go from the driving data to the impact on the premium? But there are also, there is quite a lot of understanding in the insurance industry on how to do that, and you can improve over time your algorithms. I think that's a great product that shows, let's say, the future of insurance.
Yeah,
right.
I think that I would think that this would be a huge opportunity for you because you can actually provide the car companies with something. Are you in contact with car manufacturers already?
It is. Let's say one of the things that we would like to test out.
Yeah.
But there's let's say no project going live anytime soon.
Okay. So what has been the because I'm sort of a car guy now, an electric car guy after the past years, but do they have the data already, really? Because I once talked to one guy from a big German manufacturer, and he said, that's in data analytics, and he said, we don't really have the driving data. We have like tons of sensor data that's isolated. And then actually that was a beer talk. And then we came to the conclusion that it would be, you probably could even have sensible data from driving behavior if you just would install like a gimbal sensor that measures the braking intensity and the acceleration intensity, because that would be already quite a good indicator if somebody's driving aggressively or not. Any insights you can share?
I'm not. I haven't been that deep into a car company recently, but I'm pretty sure they do have that data. There was this one famous case where it was a car driving sharing service of one of the big OEMs that was involved in an accident, and all of a sudden they had the driving data of that car prior to the accident, and there was also there's quite a big uproar. Oh, where's this data coming from, and data privacy, etc. All of the new cars have this SIM card integrated, and now maybe they are not quite as good as Tesla at recording all of the data, but pretty sure they do have
that
very
should not
relevant
be the
data.
limiting factor. Okay. Yeah, interesting. And any other areas where you can think that the insurance is moving closer to the damage or the injured object?
Yeah. Exactly. So I think car is really the perfect example. Other industries, of course, like anything you buy online in an online shop, right? We now launched bike insurance with ÖKK, health insurer.
How is that working?
Great. Policies are being sold,
Yeah.
and for ÖKK, it's their first PNC insurance. So beforehand, ÖKK was really just selling health insurance, and now through us, it's the first PNC product.
Okay.
I think they are very happy with the collaboration and how sales are going. So we look forward to offering more PNC products to them.
That's actually very interesting. So what you're saying is that like one of the, it's actually a very solid and renowned player in Switzerland, right? It's one of the biggest insurance brands, and not even them are doing. It would be intuitive for them, at least in my view, that they do all on their own if they move into PNC. But even they choose to actually go with you. That's a very good sign, isn't it?
It is indeed, yeah. The reason I think it also makes sense for them, to be frank, because if you look at, up to now they have just been doing health insurance. There are quite a lot of regulatory restrictions also for health insurance companies to offer PNC to underwrite those. They don't have that with us because there's an external risk carrier. But let's say if they wanted to launch that, they would. Right now, health insurer, they have their tax system is probably geared towards health insurance. It's not able to do PNC. They don't have any actuarial team for those PNC products. So there would be really quite a big investment on their side needed to launch PNC products. While we have the tech platform, we take external balance sheets. So with us, there's, sure there are some project fees, etc., but these are marginal or insignificant compared to the amount of money a health insurer would need to supply to enter the PNC insurance market.
That brings me to another question. You said you don't want to be just the technology play or just a software play to existing insurance companies, but that would hint to that there's a market for you to also only sell the software, maybe with a different entity and even with a different branding, but Is there something you consider strategically?
Certainly there are. Yeah, certainly the short answer is yes. But let's say for us as a company, it's important that we focus. And sure, our tech platform is probably better than a lot of the tech platforms. I mean, it is better than a lot of the tech platforms out there. Yeah. Not saying that there aren't also other great players, but we are definitely amongst the top. But for us, we really want to focus on this insurance as a service. Having said that, yes, we are also in discussions with risk carriers or with, let's say, the incumbent insurers that there are because they are lacking a tool to enter the embedded insurance market. So, and with embedded, and coming back to the earlier question from you, so for example, take the example of bike insurance, right? You buy a bike online and there's like a button, okay, here, click here, and you can also buy the bike insurance, right? The classical incumbents, they have problems offering that. One reason is because they don't have this open API infrastructure. They are not able to easily configure a new product for a new distribution partner, and all sorts of that, right? So yes, we are in discussions with the incumbents also for them to just use our let's say software, and that would then be software as a service. But it's not our main focus at the moment.
Interesting, really cool. One detailed question maybe on the feedback thing. I mean the data, is that already developed to the extent that you have like certain standard APIs where people can feed in, not people, but where your clients or your distribution partners can feed in this usage data to actually calculate risk profiles? Is that like a standard thing you offer already? Because I see a lot of it, or the insurances I see or I have been talking to, they are struggling with a lot of these, from a technological point, very, very mundane questions or mundane problems, that they're not having this sort of structured gateway where they can feed in usage data. I mean, they couldn't do that once. And then they calculate it and it runs for like several months, and then they do some big recalculation product. But the thing is, that should be done like probably all day.
So let's say, I mean, taking the example of car insurance, I mean, since we handle the entire insurance value chain, we of course have all the claim information. Hence, we also have the basis for improving or like for calculating risk, for optimizing our pricing. And we can do that on a continuous basis. So let's say the cycles for updating our pricing, whenever our actuary says, okay, there's a parameter I want to update, he can just do it himself, right? So that also reduces the update cycles. Right. Now, what is really interesting is, let's say, more the contextual data, right? So let's say similar to the bank that is now selling the building insurance or income protection insurance for the mortgage, they have certain data on the client. Similar things apply to a grocery chain that has some customer loyalty program. They have a lot of information on their client, right? And they can use that on the one hand as a trigger to sell insurance, but also let's say it becomes really interesting when you look at the contextual data to derive certain information to optimize your risk profiling. Okay. It's not, I mean, so there are some plans for us to do that, but it's not the main priority right now. But let's say we would, based on the tech setup that we have, we wouldn't be impeded by technological constraints.
All right. Very, very cool. Really, one or two last questions. Where are you standing with TONI? So, how long are you in the journey, or how deep are you in the journey already? So it's like it's a couple of years, I think, right?
It is, yeah. So the post-finance car insurance product, that was the first one that launched in 2019, and now I think in Switzerland we are the market leader. And of course, now one of the next big steps will be to conquer other European markets. So of course, let's say right now, let's say in Switzerland, works great for us. We have a lot of great use cases, and by word of mouth, there are a lot of new leads coming in that also want to offer the same service. And so let's say Switzerland is really, I mean, we will grow, and also, you know, you have to remember that each distribution partner that we onboard, you basically start the portfolio at zero, and then it grows over time.
Yeah.
So I think Switzerland will be great success for us, but of course we are now looking at other countries to conquer.
So Germany or France?
Germany potentially, more likely the other ones. Reason being that Germany is, let's say, at least in the insurance industry, very efficient in terms of very competitive also.
Okay.
So take the example of car insurance. I think in Germany you have around 100 car players in the car insurance industry. So yes, it is a big market, but there's also a lot of competition, and it's easy to burn your fingers. So we look at countries where, you know, there's more of a gap for us to
makes sense,
which makes it easier for us. Having said that, we do currently speak to one player in Germany where it will be for a very specific focus group, and then that is sort of also the way how you can compete in such a market. Otherwise, in terms of employees, we are around 45 today. It's really about offering more insurance lines, like configuring those, onboarding more risk carriers. As mentioned earlier, there's also now this, let's say, active drive by risk carriers approaching us. Hey, we want to. We have seen that you have these distribution partners. We also want to be part of the game, and could we serve as risk carrier for these products, or they have some opportunities they can't serve. And then really the third pillar is really the going international.
Very cool. Yeah, very exciting. One last question. we're running long on that, but I find it really, it's such an amazing, an amazing industry, and I think there's a lot of things to do when it comes to digital transformation still, and I always were thinking it would be cool if an insurance was just an account you sign up for, and then I can basically select like 3 stages of being injured. So just vary the 3 levels, maybe just vary the bad, insure only the very bad stuff, then insure like what makes sense, the common sense thing. And then a level like insure everything that can happen to me. So like, and goes thinking of maybe that's the long-term future. And then just out of my data that I produce in my life, there will be build this super huge model. And if something bad happens, then I can just call, or actually the insurance calls me, telling me, look, this is how we got your back on this particular damage you're just suffering from. 2 last question on those. Will we ever get there? And number 2, when is most likely to be there?
Really interesting question. There were discussions in our company, especially at the beginning, hey, let's build a personal risk profile scoring system, and you sign up as a person. As you mentioned, as an account, you would have to answer certain questions on your risk profile, and then it would suggest you a certain range of insurances. Hey, you should take this car insurance, this for your building, liability, and so on. And then that would be the one thing, like your digital insurance companion, that would cover you, right? And that's a great idea, I think. But consumers don't behave like that today, right? So I think if we had started out with as our main value proposition, we wouldn't have got very far. Simply because it's at the end of the day, it's the consumer that needs to buy your product, and I don't think consumers are quite ready yet for that.
Yeah, true.
And it's also because any sort of innovation always takes a certain amount of time to to be established, right? So right now, what we see is people want to buy insurances when they need it. There's a lot of stickiness. So if we were to set out, hey, through us you can have all your insurances, the first thing all the clients would need to do is they would have to cancel all the existing ones, and that's already the point where you would fail, right? True. So to be honest, I think, maybe in the future it could happen at one point. I don't see it happening in the next decade. Not because I don't think it's a good idea, just simply because I don't think consumer behavior is right there. And I think if it was to happen, it probably wouldn't be an insurance company being in the driving seat.
Okay.
It would be more it could be some company. All this embedded insurance that we were talking about. In Europe, it is there, but if you look at other countries that are, let's say, also in terms of innovation a bit further ahead, if you look at Asia, you have a lot more of these ecosystems where you have your messaging service, where you can also do your shopping, you can do ride sharing, and you can also buy insurances, right? So these are going to be the driving factors. And I think once you have managed to build up an ecosystem where you do all of those things, it also becomes a lot easier for that for that ecosystem to offer to the consumer, hey, why don't you click here? We will cancel all your existing insurances, and we know you. We give you the best price because we understand the risk the best.
Makes sense,
right? I think that's going to be the driving force. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much,
Alex. It was a pleasure to have you here and share all your insights for the digital insurance space. Wishing you all the best for your continued journey, and hope to see you again sometime in the future.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alain.